Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are now within the last week of July of 2025, and given that the Meghan Markle situation is only going out of control even further now, ever since she got cancelled, ever since her contract came to an official end by Netflix executives, in case you guys did not know this, yes, her contract deal is over, it is no longer active, it is not going to go beyond 2025. However, With Love Meghan Season 2, quote-unquote, as Netflix likes to call it that, is still going on. It is going to actually debut by this fall. In reality, it's just Season 1 Part 2, but they're calling it a Season 2. Let's be very clear about this. That's how they're marketing it. It's not a true second season, so to speak. But what's interesting here has a lot more to do with Meghan Markle's actual response/reaction after her recent firing/cancellation over at Netflix, and it gets ugly. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Meghan Markle is that, yes, we always know that she is always going to go back at the critics. She's going to snap against any of those that actually question her or challenge her. And that's very much, how she is. She can't take criticism. She can't take those actually mentioning any of her flaws out there. And one thing about Meghan Markle is that she constantly goes on the same exact trope about Hollywood, about the film industry, about how, there's a lot of imbalance between men and women. Well, this is where it gets really interesting, based on Meghan Markle admitting something very specific in the midst of her overall cancellation over at Netflix. Now, what's interesting here has a lot more to do with the fact that Netflix executives are pretty much almost united at this point, because they're focusing more so on moving beyond Meghan Markle. However, with the cancellation of Meghan Markle over at Netflix, after Netflix executives made the decision to end her contract and not go beyond this year, one significant development that is now active involves more to do with Meghan Markle herself, yet again in the midst of her recent firing and cancellation from Netflix. Now, Meghan recently delivered the following. The one thing that I could say right now as a woman is that there is a lot of unfairness in this country, and there is this obvious imbalance between the power of men and women in the workplace. Whether it's for film, television, or music, I don't care what industry it is, there is an obvious stigma that women have to deal with, and this is why they tend to lay off or cancel more women than men. I mean, when you really pay attention to it all, this is all driven by toxic masculinity and growing issues with sexism and misogyny that we must tackle. I think as a society we have to tackle that. Women just don't have it fair in this industry at all. They never did. They never got the limelight that they deserved. And I have experienced this experience firsthand in many cases. And when you analyze the entire scope of Hollywood right now, it's shifting, and it's shifting fast under this new administration. We have lost our way. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are things that deserve to be respected and used in the arts, and cinema right now is just lacking. It's dying because of all the toxicity going on right now in Hollywood and from social media culture ruining the very experience. And yeah, I guess you could say that's why I have had my own struggles within Hollywood. I have dealt with some of these experiences firsthand, where you just don't get the treatment that you deserve in this industry because you either come from a place of diversity or you are for women's rights or whatever. Now guys, let me just say one thing about that. You don't deserve respect, you earn respect, alright? Let's just repeat that ongoing, right? You earn respect, you don't deserve it. Basically, Meghan Markle's got that backwards. She believes that she deserves respect. She believes that anybody out there deserves respect, like they automatically must get respect just based on whatever they're going to do, even if there's something that doesn't come out of it in a positive sense. So that's the twisted part of Meghan Markle. That's exactly why she has another trait of narcissism there. Obvious reasons. We already know one thing about this entire scenario is that Hollywood turned against Meghan Markle, right? She was in talks with so many different studios to really heighten her career to new levels that she has never seen before, that we have never seen before. We would have seen her in many movies, television shows, stuff like that. And that's no longer going to happen on the scale that it once was supposed to happen months ago. We already talked about how she almost landed deals with Paramount, Blumhouse Productions, even Disney, and among others out there like Paramount. all of which have been flushed down the toilet because they realized how much of a phony she really is, and how narcissistic and over-demanding she can be, and how difficult to work with she really is. That's why, alright, a very similar person, Rachel Zegler, is not getting work with many major Hollywood studios. Instead, as of now, where it stands, she's only getting light work with very small studios out there that aren't even going to be released widespread throughout the entire country for movies. But what's interesting here is that she goes on to allude further. It's a damn shame that this is where we are right now in 2025. We need to do better, and I will admit, sometimes I feel like a failed actress. It was astonishing to me to finally realize that I have no control over my professional life, based on the current state of this industry, and that was shocking to me as a woman to really come to terms with all of that. It's a very unfair and difficult business, and you will be shut out the instant that you express yourself on social media. I know I did, and I faced some unnecessary reactions to how I express myself online out of pure fun and to be funny, and to really find a way to gain a larger following, you know? To broaden my horizons and to reach out to a new audience. But when I look back at my brand as ever, and my podcast, and all the things that I have done in my life, perhaps I don't need Hollywood, at least for right now. I don't know, I mean, I still chase the opportunities, but perhaps I don't have to chase them as much as I once did. I'm a damn grown woman, and I know how to do things, and I have experienced things, and we have talked things over and over, but we still need to face toxicity, sexism, and misogyny in this flawed industry that I really think needs some fixing from within. So again, I mean, Rachel Zegler had a very similar rant about Hollywood, about the imbalance, quote-unquote, between men and women, and how toxicity, sexism, misogyny is still a very big problem. And it's not really. I mean, we've seen so many elements out there of female representation, of DEI, and when you do it out of just pure driven agenda, nobody wants to watch it. Nobody actually wants to deal with it. So she's not examining things correctly. She's seeing it backwards. The fact that she's looking at it as toxic masculinity when a lot of males are just outright rejecting forced female representation in films, as they did from 2016 until just recently. Now things are beginning to flip. You know, women are getting actual real roles. That's not to say that they were being treated unfair for a while, but they're now getting actual authentic roles because, well, let's face it, DEI and woke is dying. And it's dying fast, and it's really diminishing within the film industry. So you're now having a lot of women, you know, gaining actual authentic roles that they deserve, and we've seen some examples. We've seen many examples of this, by the way, over the years, over the decades in the industry, but it wasn't until around 2016 till 2024, right around, of course, you know, the election, when things really started to get abolished when it comes to DEI. Ever since that whole little era, as you like to call it, that little era of, you know, DEI nonsense getting shoehorned into film and television, we have seen female roles being used the wrong way for like 7-8 years. So overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Meghan Markle's stance on things and how she's obviously very bitter about Hollywood and opening up more about Hollywood after her cancellation over at Netflix. She's obviously taking some indirect stabs at Netflix, there's no doubt about that. But if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.